Hey, Curtis coming at you from the Full Octane Garage. Today's going to be an exciting day. We have our Porsche 911, and what we're going to do is a modification to the exhaust that's going to make it sound awesome, and it only costs less than $10 and about 2 hours of your time. So stick with us and we'll get right to it. Hey, Curtis coming at you from the Full Octane Garage, and today is going to be one of our episodes on how to modify your 911 on a budget. What we're going to work on today is an exhaust modification. The exhausts out of the factory are awfully quiet, and we wanted to have a really throaty, aggressive sounding exhaust, but we didn't want to spend a couple of $1,000s on it. So there's a thing out there called a Gundo Hack, and I did some research on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to do a Gundo Hack on your exhaust for less than $10 and 2 hours of your time. So let's get right to it. Before we get started, let's do an exhaust 101 on a Porsche 911 Carrera. You'll notice in this picture there's an arrow coming up from the center of the screen going up towards the right. That's actually leaving the catalytic converter on the Porsche 911, going into the exhaust muffler, and then it loops through a number of chambers in the muffler to actually baffle the exhaust down to a lower decibel sound. And then it comes out the outlet pipe, which you'll follow that red line around to the exit pipe where the two exhaust tubes are. Now to the Gundo Hack. It's actually a Gundo Hack, or sometimes known as a fister hack. And what we do is an exhaust bypass between the inlet and the outlet. So in this particular picture you'll see circled a piece of tube that we've cut and starting to weld in, and that's coming from where it leaves the catalytic converter. The exhaust gases can still go into the exhaust muffler, but under heavy pressure, which is full acceleration, you're going to find that it bypasses the muffler, and you'll see this next flow actually where it loops around, comes up from the catalytic converter through the pipe, loops through the Gundo Hack, and then out the two exhaust pipes, giving it a much louder note, less baffling, and less muffling, and hopefully just a little more performance. So now let's get to deinstalling the exhaust. Okay, the exhaust looks pretty straightforward to take off. This is a clamp that holds the exhaust pipe which goes into the muffler. These two bolts, you want to make sure that you soak them with some lubricant, because they can get rusty and be a little challenging to take off. Fortunately, this car only has about 15,000 miles on it, so they haven't gotten rusty yet. So we're going to take these two bolts loose, which will allow the clamp and the exhaust to pull out. Now that we have the exhaust clamp loose, what we're going to do is move to the muffler support bracket. The muffler support bracket is going to have 3 bolts, or actually 3 bolts with nuts on them. So it's a very tight area. They're 10 millimeters. I would suggest using an air ratchet to get these on and off. You'll save a lot of knuckle time. I did the first one without an air ratchet, and looking back, the air ratchet was the right way to go. If you don't have an air ratchet, you're going to need a real short ratchet with no extensions. You're going to take 3 nuts off. You're going to take a support bracket off. You're going to see the support bracket that I have in this picture. It has a hex in the bottom and a nut on the top. You're going to remove that support bracket, and then once you get the complete exhaust loose, you will be able to drop the exhaust without removing the rear tire, at least on the Carrera S wide bodies. I don't know if you have enough room on a narrow body, so do that at your own risk, but mine is a 2008 Carrera S Cabriolet, and there was plenty of room. You had to squeeze it out a little bit, but it actually came out with no problem. So now we're going to head outside. We're going to do some fitting of a new pipe, and we're going to do a little bit of welding, and then we'll get this thing put back in. So stick with us. What we are going to do is we got some exhaust pipe that is a little bit smaller diameter than the existing exhaust pipe, and we are going to cut a very small piece of pipe to weld in between the inlet and the outlet of the exhaust for a bypass. and this is going to give us a little bit better sound under acceleration. So the only tools we're going to need is, I think we started with a 13mm wrench, socket actually, to remove the exhaust. We're going to need a MIG welder to weld the new pipe in, and I'm going to use a plasma cutter to actually cut my hole out. And the process in this is to go ahead and fit a piece of pipe, cut it out, fit it in here to where it will weld in, and then mark where this pipe will set in on your exhaust system, and take your plasma cutter and cut the holes out so that you can slide the pipe in and weld her up. Okay, what we did is we clamped down the pipe to the table, and I have a pipe that is about the exterior diameter of my existing exhaust pipe, and so what I'm going to do is kind of trace out some shapes to plasma cut around and see how that works out for us. Okay, we're going to flip this thing over and do the same thing to the other side. Let's see if we can freehand it. Overall, it's a pretty good fit. We're going to do just a little trimming. Okay, we're going to freehand cut this a little bit long. We can always cut it off. And you'll find that is a little warm. Okay, we've cooled it down a little bit. Now what we're going to do is a little test fitting, kind of get an idea of where this will go. We're going to trim these ears down a little bit. Okay, we're going to grind this clean a little bit. See how it fits now. Fitting better. What I'm using is a 40 grit sanding disc. to do my refinements. And you just want to get a really nice fit so that when you weld it in, you're not going to have any issues. And that's looking really good. So what I'm drawing here is a line around this so that I'll know where to plasma cut and where not to plasma cut. And it'll leave, I'll leave surface around this just so that I can weld to it. So I'm going to cut just inside of my lines. Don't forget to put your ground on. Put your gloves on. And these aren't airplanes. This side. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of welding. I'm no expert at welding, but hopefully I can make it look halfway decent. We've got the hole cut out, we've got everything in place. We're going to do a couple of tacks, make sure it's set. That's one done. Okay, we're going to start working on number 2. Hopefully number 2 goes a little better than number 1. Okay, this is the before the exhaust modification. We're going to do a few revs and let you hear what it sounds like. And this is the exhaust sound after the modification. And it was worth the 2 hours of time that this took. It sounds very good. I would highly recommend it. It's a very inexpensive change to your car. It took me literally 2 hours to do this. Probably could have gone a little faster if I had a little better welding skills. But it turned out great. I'm happy. Catch y'all later. Thanks for joining us today at the Full Octane Garage. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked what you saw, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Also subscribe to our channel and like us on Facebook. Also, we'd love to have some feedback on what you like, what you don't like, and things you'd like to see in the future. So leave us some comments.